Hey guys, it's Dennis here with Revog Games, and this is my first impressions of the Halo Infinite campaign mode, which dropped today. It's $60. It's not free to play like the multiplayer, which dropped 2 weeks ago was. So let's just start off right off bat. The installation was not as smooth as I would have liked. I mean, first there was no, or at least on my version, there was no pre-install for the game, so I couldn't install it earlier and just start playing it right when 10 a.m. hit Pacific, which was when they launched the game. I actually had to install it. That was one problem. And then two, because I had already installed the Halo multiplayer on my computer, it had, it was on Steam. I did it through the Steam app, but then the Game Pass is where I was downloading the Halo Infinite campaign from, and so it kind of got all mixed up and it was hard to figure out actually how to download. Once I finally figured it out, started downloading, I played it. It was fine. I played a couple hours. I'll talk about that in a second. I quit out, took a little break, came back and played again, and then it kept crashing. I had to reboot my computer and start again. So that part wasn't very smooth. And so overall, my impressions of the Halo Infinite campaign are that it's pretty good. It's pretty good, but there are some things that are kind of holding it back, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's start off with the combat. The combat is excellent. All the interactions and fighting amongst with the enemies. I do wish the computer AI was a little bit smarter. I am playing it on a normal. I'm going to play on heroic next. But there was an instance where the enemy had been dropped off for reinforcements, and they had been running towards a particular spot they were supposed to protect, and I shot at them, and they kept going to that one spot. Like, the AI didn't realize, hey, I'm being fired upon, I should turn around and see who's doing that. They made sure they got to where they needed to go, then they started turning around and fighting with me. So I thought that was that broke kind of the whole feeling of the enemies actually being real and knowing that you're there. If you're shooting a bunch of bullets and it's hitting them or going past their head, they should know something is amiss. Also, you have your human AI companions that you save. They aren't always the smartest. I noticed when they hopped in the Warthog, they'll focus on one person, maybe up in a tower, and then even when the angle is not right and they can't attack, they're still shooting at him. And then there'll be enemies on the ground that are in view that you can attack, that they decide to ignore until you really try and focus them in. That's why it's always better when you play the Warthog with on co-op, which obviously we can't do right now until May. With a co-op with a human friend companion, because they'll actually know who to focus on and shoot at. So those are two things that kind of bothered me. The variety of enemies is good. You have like mini bosses. The weapons feel great. The variety of weapons with all the classic stuff with the assault rifle, the battle rifle, the pistol, all that cool stuff. And there's some other newer weapons. It's fun. The beauty about Halo is that you can only hold two weapons at a time. You've got to choose what two weapons they are, and sometimes the most powerful weapons aren't always the best for the situations. One, they have a lot of limited ammo. They're in certain situations they don't really do very well. And I kind of actually find myself going with, if I can, the battle rifle, and then also the one of the plasma, I think, carbine. So I'm trying, or the pulse carbine, and to have that balance between shooting enemies with the what they call the kinetic weapons, and then also with the energy weapons, and then just having that combination. Because with the shields, with the jackals, you're shooting them with the rifle or your assault rifle, it just doesn't work. You've got to hit them with a plasma weapon, and then if you want to switch off to your assault rifle or battle rifle. Anyways, so the weapons are fun. It's it's the same Halo that the feeling of like back of like Halo 3, in the combat with all the different enemies is still there. They also have upgrading your equipment. You can upgrade your grapple shot, you can upgrade your armor, upgrade your tactical sensor. I mean, so far I've only done the armor and the grapple shot, and the grapple shot has been a great addition because it's been you're able to move around like you haven't been before, almost like a semi Spider-Man swinging around. You can get up to high places. It creates a kind of vertical space in which you can also fight and travel in. The funny thing is I wasn't able to actually get a hang of it during multiplayer because in that situation when you're online, you're playing against other people and you're trying to test it out or using it, you kind of like get hung up on other people shooting at you, where in the campaign you have that time, right? You don't have to always fight enemies. You're in a lot of empty areas where maybe you just want to climb up because it's a shortcut instead of finding the long way around, or maybe it is the only way to use it, but it adds something new to the Halo kind of travel and actual combat dynamic. Now, the vehicles specifically, so far I've only tested out the Mongoose and the Warthog, and they don't feel like the kind of Warthog and Mongoose of old Halo. It feels like it's a little floaty, like it's like on, instead of interacting with the actual environment and like what the rocks are there, or the dirt, it feels like it's on a plane on its own. Like maybe they cheated it somehow on a plane on its own and just moving on that plane no matter what the actual environment on the bottom is. So it just feels like it's almost like a cheat. It just doesn't feel as good as it did before. Okay, story wise, so far it's been okay. It's a decent story. It's Halo has always been known for a good story, but not anything like spectacular. Like the story helps drive the combat and drives motivation in your character and to go forward, but it hasn't been like something that's like blown people away. It's more for the atmosphere and the environment and the feel. And speaking of the environment, so open world, this is kind of where I think my biggest criticism is because I love open world games. I love Fallout, I love Red Dead Redemption, all that stuff, and kind of fusing it to Halo, I was kind of open to the idea, but I feel like it's not fully realized. I mean, one, the environments themselves in the game are very similar. All the kind of outdoor environments, all the indoor environments are all like very one note, and from what I've read in other reviews and listened to other reviews, it doesn't really change much. That's kind of what you're gonna get. That's one thing I don't like. I wish that there was some sort of environmental changes, whether it's like you have snow or forest or anything like that. You don't get that. And then second, the objectives that you have, at least so far in the game, seem pretty basic, and I don't know how much variety they're gonna have. I mean, a lot of it is turn this on, put the battery here, rescue the soldiers, find this or that. The sense of exploration isn't exactly there. I mean, that's what I love about open world games, is like, oh, you don't know where you're going and you want to find, oh, what's this on this side over here, and there's kind of a spontaneous nature to how you attack things, and in this you kind of get it in the sense of they show you the markers of where things are and then you choose which order you want to do them in, but it's not organic where you're walking around like, oh, what's this, oh, let me figure out what's going on here. So that's kind of my biggest criticism, is Halo is known for setting you up in an environment and then leading the way through that environment to give you an experience, and I don't know what you want to call it, the Halo experience or whatnot, but that's kind of what Halo has been known for. You have these great moments, these missions that combine both the combat, the storyline, the atmosphere, and everything going on, and that creates this big kind of Halo moment that you kind of always remember. And I just don't know, at least so far, I haven't really had any of those yet. And I don't know how much you're going to get out of those given the way that it's set up with this open world. And I'm not saying open world can't work for Halo. I just think it's not fully realized. One, you need to diversify the environments. And two, you got to diversify the type of tasks and motivations and storylines that weave into the actual things, the goals and objectives that you have, that aren't just like, go here, rescue so-and-so, go here, press this button, go here. You know, you've got to do something a little more than that. And maybe, you know, later in the game that it will open up, but so far it's been very kind of very similar. Fun. The combat on Halo is always fun. It's just that part I wish there was something more. So anyways, that's my impressions of the campaign for Halo Infinite. First impressions, 2.5, 3 hours. I heard the game is maybe 10 to 12 hours if you just play the main storyline, and then I think up to 20 if you want to do every single like side mission that happens on the map. So anyways, I'm looking forward to playing more of the game and also playing multiplayer. I kind of want to finish the campaign before I hop back into multiplayer. This is the first Halo where I've actually played multiplayer first instead of the campaign. So I kind of want to, now that the campaign is out, I want to finish that off, and hopefully should only take another few days. So anyways, that's my thoughts. Have you played Halo Infinite, the campaign, yet? How far are you? What's your impressions? What do you like the most? What do you dislike? What do you think about the whole open world thing? What do you think about the storyline? I mean, you know, they have the cutscenes. They're very cinematic. They look great. You know, but I want them to weave into the storyline, or not the storyline, the objectives more that you play in. So anyways, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Revog. You also can subscribe to our weekly podcast, which is on Spotify or Anchor.fm, or on the YouTube channel. We also post the whole video with me and Josh. You can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero or Instagram Dennis.tzng. And until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.